The Special Reconnaissance Unit led by Denis played a pivotal role in Ukraine's unexpected offensive in Kharkiv during the autumn of 2022, successfully pushing back an initial Russian invasion to the border. However, the unit now faces the daunting task of repeating this feat. Recent days have seen Russian forces making incremental but significant progress along the border in the Kharkiv region, claiming approximately 100 kilometers of Ukrainian territory. In contrast, achieving similar gains in the heavily defended eastern regions of Ukraine took Russia months. Russia asserts that its troops have entered the border town of Vovchansk, a claim disputed by Ukraine. The town has been subjected to intense bombing, leading to the evacuation of several thousand residents. Denis expresses dismay at the lack of preparedness in Ukraine's defenses, highlighting the absence of a first line of defense and the ease with which Russian forces crossed the border unopposed. He suggests that the failure to fortify the border was either due to negligence or corruption, branding it as a betrayal. Despite intelligence warnings and public statements by President Vladimir Putin about creating a buffer zone in Kharkiv, Ukraine appeared ill-equipped to counter the incursion. Denis, stationed near Vovchansk, anticipates a return to Russian control of the town, emphasizing the urgency of the situation. The ongoing conflict in Kharkiv has resulted in a humanitarian crisis, with residents fleeing the area to escape the relentless bombardment by Russian forces. The region's population has significantly dwindled due to the violence, forcing many to abandon their homes in search of safety. The situation underscores the challenges faced by Ukraine, including limited military resources and delayed international support. The offensive in Kharkiv reveals gaps in Ukraine's defense strategy and the need for swift mobilization and reinforcement to counter Russian advances. As the conflict intensifies, Denis voices his frustration at the loss of lives and territory due to the failure to fortify defenses, highlighting the sacrifices made by Ukrainian forces in reclaiming and defending their territory. Russian President Vladimir Putin is set to replace Sergei Shoigu as defense minister as part of a cabinet reshuffle, appointing him secretary of the Security Council. Andrei Belousov, an economist and former deputy prime minister, will take over as the new defense minister according to the Kremlin's announcement on Sunday. The significant changes come as Putin embarks on his fifth term in office. Following Russian law, the entire cabinet resigned after Putin's inauguration in the Kremlin. Belousov's nomination will require approval from Russia's upper house of parliament, the Federation Council. Shoigu has held the position of defense minister since 2012, predating Russia's invasion and annexation of Crimea. Recent events, such as the arrest of one of Shoigu's deputies, Timur Ivanov, on bribery charges, have raised speculation about Shoigu's future in the role. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov highlighted that Putin's decision to appoint a civilian as defense minister aims to infuse the ministry with innovation and cutting-edge ideas. Belousov is seen as the suitable candidate for this position. Putin's victory in the March election with a reported 87% of the vote was marred by criticisms of lacking democratic legitimacy due to the exclusion of candidates opposed to the war in Ukraine. The reshuffle coincides with renewed ground offensives in northeastern Ukraine, leading to civilian displacement and intensified conflict in the region. The town of Vovchansk has emerged as a focal point in the recent battles, underscoring the severity of the situation in the region. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine continues to drive significant humanitarian challenges and geopolitical tensions. It is crucial to emphasize that the primary humanitarian crisis is unfolding in Ukraine, not Russia, as a result of the ongoing war. Here is an update on the current situation in Ukraine. Impact of the crisis. Displacement crisis. The UN reports that more than 17.6 million individuals in Ukraine are in need of humanitarian aid. This includes 6.3 million internally displaced persons, 6.9 million individuals struggling in conflict-affected areas, and 4.4 million returnees facing challenges due to damaged infrastructure. Hardest-hit areas. Regions facing active hostilities and lacking government control experience the most critical needs. Civilians in these areas endure shortages of essential supplies like food, water, medicine, and basic necessities. Specific challenges faced. Infrastructure damage. Attacks by Russian forces have severely impacted vital infrastructure such as power grids, leading to difficulties in accessing electricity, sanitation, and healthcare services. Food insecurity. Disrupted agricultural activities and transportation routes pose a threat to food security, not only within Ukraine but also on a global scale. Psychological trauma. Pervasive fear and violence have resulted in widespread psychological distress, especially among vulnerable groups like children and the elderly. International response. Humanitarian aid. International bodies such as the UN and NGOs are actively providing crucial assistance like food, medical supplies, and shelter to those in need. Ongoing challenges. Despite these efforts, delivering aid remains challenging in areas of active conflict. Issues such as funding shortages and logistical complexities continue to present obstacles. Future outlook. Long-term crisis. The lasting impact of the war on Ukraine's infrastructure and economy is expected to worsen the humanitarian situation. Reconstruction needs. Rebuilding essential infrastructure like homes, hospitals, and schools will be vital for the country's recovery in the long term. Mental health support. Addressing the extensive psychological trauma will necessitate significant resources and sustained assistance.